my time running out. It's coming up from the game. But we ran out of availability like overnight in about 12 hours. So unfortunately, if you're interested, you'll have to wait until later this year. But I hope that you will be an early adopter of this technology. And let me show you, just before I go, one more thing. We have a bunch more games in the works, so if I can get back to the computer for a minute. Oh, I gotta do that. Bunch more games. Here's a little sneak peek at some of the things we're working on now. So, as you can see, as I hope you agree, we think there are big possibilities for this little platform for hands-on play and learning. And it's a new style of game system that incorporates the best of classic games and brings them forward in the future. So if you're around today, come by our booth. We're right in the middle of North Hall, right near the Bluetooth booth. And hope to see you down there. Thanks very much.
So one of the things that I liked about that, David, was the responsivity. When the blocks clicked, is like you get instant feelings that you're in control, which is a real important thing to understand when you're looking at any web, children's web, or interactive product, is the feelings of control.
Yeah, well, that's actually one of the things I learned from my computer music days, like I mentioned at Buzz department, was that things need to respond quickly and snappily to feel good. And actually, I think you can take musical interaction as a great lens to look at all kinds of interactions with computers through, because if something is good enough for music, that's snappy and responsive and permits expressive interaction, probably means it's good generally.
It says accelerometers in it.
Yep.
How does it know when it's touching another cube? What's the magic?
It doesn't actually have to touch, but we've got this wireless near-field sensing built into each cube. So they just
Wireless near-field sensing, folks.
That's right.
Okay, thank you. Good luck at Last Gadget Standing.
Thanks.
I'm going to turn you over to the able hands of David Kleeman. If you don't know David yet, you should. He's a very important person in the children's media space. He's the president of the American Center for Children's Media. David?
Thank you.
Yes, I'm on it.
I think one of my favorite. Before we. While we're waiting for the mic, is Anton Mikhailov. Okay, I think one of the main reasons that they asked me to moderate this is I talk very fast, and I can be a brutal moderator when needed and cut people off. We are really short on time, but we've got some great things to show. I do want to give just a quick framing to what we're going to be doing in about 2 minutes here. The panel is called It's a Movement. It's a set of demos and discussion around devices, toys, and content that strip away layers of interface that can distance kids from play. And it substitutes instead direct tools, also encouragement and rewards for taking action, for kids being active. This is among the hottest areas right now in children's media, and I dare say that our industries are following the good advice of Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. I second that motion. We have a lot to get through in a very short time, so I just want to plant 3 ideas in your minds right now for you to think about about why these developments are so important. So as you watch the demos, you can talk about them, you can go and meet these people at their booths afterwards, but I think these are the 3 key things to remember coming out of this. Almost weekly, there's a new article on the dangers to children inherent in screen time. And by talking about it just as screen time, that suggests that only total time matters in children's relationships with media, not what, who, why, when, or how they're using media. Not all screens, as you heard Wang just say now, not all screens are created equal. They are not the same thing. So movement-based gaming totally changes the existing equation by inviting the child into the content and demanding their active participation. As our keynoter later today, David Pogue, wrote recently, you can't play Connect sitting down, and that's a good thing. Learning games and school adoption of emerging technology are not only frequent press topics, see this week's New York Times piece on iPads in schools and the Higher Ed Tech Summit that was here 2 days ago, they also represent a huge market if we get the content, curriculum, and engagement right. So think as you listen about where motion-responsive media fits into learning and what innovative practices are needed in order to make it fit the needs of schools and other learning centers. And the third thing to keep in mind, screens are the gateway to content, and parents are the gateway to screens. It's crucial that media producers and distributors change parents' thinking that a screen is a screen is a screen, because kids can't benefit from the amazing things that you'll see today and the amazing things that all of you are working on until parents become satisfied that media aren't monolithic, that not all screens are the same, and they start making informed choices about what's right for their children. So with that headlong dash, I'm going to turn it over to our first speaker. You're all set. Perfect. Rebecca Rachmany of Omek Interactive.
Hi, I'm Rebecca from Omek, and we're talking about motion. And when we talk about interacting with computers, really the field that we're in is computer vision. And the idea of interacting with the world using your hands and your body that's the way we interact with the world. That's the natural way that people, children, grown-ups have developed to interact with the world. And the computer vision is looking at how can we create our interaction with computers the same way we interact with the world. It's natural to reach out and grab something. You know, if we're talking about, for example, adventure games, I've always liked these adventure games, look for this and that. But when you have to press a keyboard to say, okay, to pick up the object, press this, that's a little bit heavy, you know? Okay, now what do I have to pick up to put in the bag, press another button? What if you could just pick up the object by picking up the object? So for this, of course, one of the main issues when we're talking about mommy tech is getting kids active, getting people to perform fitness activities in front of the screen like Kinect. And so what we're going to be showing you is something that looks like Kinect. It's running on my PC. So we believe that this way of interacting is going to be the way people interact with computers in the future, just the same way we interact with the rest of the world. And what we're providing is a platform that anyone that's creating any kind of hardware, it could be a PC, it could be a console, it could be a television, it could be your child's game that they buy, this will all be built in. So that any kind of depth camera can work with any kind of piece of hardware. Pretty much anywhere that you see a camera lens today, you'll see these kinds of lenses and you'll be able to interact with that technology. So when I think about, okay, mommy tech, where are we going to use this? And it's been amazing also, just even these 3 days, but ever since I've been in this field, anyone I talk to says, wow, if I could just go like this and move something on the screen, this is what I do with it. Everyone has something else. So again, we are an enabler. We don't actually build the application. We build something that enables a programmer to build the application or a device person to build the application. So with kids, I thought, okay, well, what would we do if we had this in kids? And in addition to exercise and that kind of thing, so there's two kinds of areas that I looked at. One is what I call enforcement. I don't really have a better name for it. Like, you know, if it knows that it's you going up to the TV, it can limit your amount of time. It can limit the channels that you watch. You know, if it's your kid or your husband and you want to limit the channels. So it could identify the person. And even things like, we're going to see this, the prices are going to be coming way down on these cameras. You know, the Kinect is $150, but we know how it goes with cameras. This is going to be in your kitchen, so you're a little too close to the heat in your stove. You know, if you see a small person getting close to the stove, you could warn them, turn off the stove, all this kind of thing. This is enforcement. And then if you're in the kitchen already, the other thing is education. What if I can start to see your movement and teach you how to hold the violin bow properly? Teach you how to cook. Oh yes, that's the right kind of utensil. That's 1 cup. That's a big enough spoon, not a big enough spoon. And I don't want to take that away from me. I mean, I love telling the kids how do you cook and all that kind of stuff, but it would be something that you could do in all kinds of areas of education. Once you can identify movement, okay, how can I teach children different things that we use our bodies to do? Again, like it could be music and it could be fitness and it could be anything else. So I'm just going to show you something today, and we've picked a member of our audience who happens to have picked the front seat. It's never seen anybody him before.